So we open with Andy asking about the federal indictments against Apollo. And Phaedra said, well, it's a complaint, not an indictment. And he's going to prison, not jail. Oh, you lying heifer. I've never been involved in it and no one says that I was. No one but Angela Stanton. Now this is when the questions were fun. Like, Cynthia, how can you be a black woman and keep Peter but not be able to twerk? Now, Kenya, we know your butt is fake because one of your butt cheeks is concave. Your butt looks like the Chanel logo. But then Kenya said, I never had a problem getting no D. You sure got a problem getting some D that'll stick around. You can get the D, but not the man attached to it. But over with Candy's successful storyline. So then after we talk about a mother's love, we bring up Nene's shade that she wouldn't go from Sissy Rai Rai to Heifer Burris. And Candy said, well, she'd never want to work for me. However, over with Cynthia, she said, you know what? Chris's wife didn't use the word opportunist and I did because that's what the heifer implied. So I decided to save words and tell on turds. After that, we go on Nene's tirade against the lateness. However, Nene, you were late to Candy's event, so why you always whining? Candy says, you know, if Nene wants to say I shouldn't be stopping at Chick-fil-A for sandwiches, that's her business. But I wouldn't speak with her shape compared to mine. Kenya, however, calls Porsha a counterfeit Christian for calling her an escapee from Whore Island. But you did throw yourself at her husband like he was the last dick in Atlanta. Oh, wow, everybody reached out to Kenya after Velvet passed except for Nene. Phaedra, you foul heifer, you really said, well, you know, Velvet was one of Kenya's good friends. Probably her only friend. Well, he does know all my business. Kenya, you have not lived with your love life under the radar. It just doesn't exist. That's why it's been under the radar. It don't exist. Porsha, why do you have to say there is no African prince for Kenya? Let her embarrass herself. You need to worry about the sissy that switched out on you, boo-boo. So now we get the first interaction where Porsha snatches the scepter out of Kenya's hand. But then this heifer pulls out the bullhorn. Are we making props now? Yep. Ha! But I would like Porsha to spell scepter. That was one of the best reads of the series. So Nene said, I never met the African prince. Kenya put out that I met him, but I don't know that fool. But Nene was so nasty and so rude. She was so nasty and so rude to Kenya Motor's man. Ah! Andy read the fuck out of Kenya. He said, well, you know what, Kenya? We know you are a beautiful woman, but last year nobody believed Walter was your man. And this year nobody believes in your African prince. But now Kenya says Karma bit Porsha and Phaedra in the ass. Because they made fun of her. Kenya said we can move on. That plot line's dead as the hair on his head. However, Porsha says, Kenya, you've been the villain since day one and I'm sick of your shit. But then Kenya says your man put you out and she picks that bullhorn up to her lips and Porsha gets up and snatches it. And now we've got the rumble and the tumble. Andy trying to separate them, but Porsha got that wig and she's not letting it go. Finally, they pry Porsha's hands off of Kenya and she's like, oh no, I'm embarrassed myself. Carlos King's on her like security. Oh, these are the moments that make Housewives of Atlanta worth living for. Cynthia had a whole boob out. Porsha said collateral damage. Kenya, you should have known this heifer was gonna get your ass as much as you antagonize. When Porsha says, I will fuck you up, she means it. I mean, she said, take it to the floor. Take it to the ground. Whoop her ass tonight. Whoop her ass tonight. Then Porsha says, cut to commercial. I'ma fuck her up. Not cut to commercial. And then everybody trying to calm Porsha down. You know, I wish y'all had that energy before it turned into this melee. Y'all could have had that energy before the asses got whipped. Whipped. And whooped. The look on Cynthia's face recurling as Porsha screams, I'm embarrassed myself. And this ain't your last time, heifer. This ain't your last time. This was act acting. You didn't give a shit. You would have kept whooping that trick if you had half the chance. Oh my God. I love it. I gotta say, this is the Porsha I kind of miss. Porsha that would get with you. So they went on and sent Porsha home. I mean, weren't really gonna get much resolulu after that. So we begin, and Kenya says, I don't know what happened. She stood up in front of me. She womped your ass. That's what happened. She womped your slick ass. Nene said, now, heifer, you had that scepter this close in her face. You may as well have hit her. Cynthia didn't feel like Porsha was under attack. Girl, you got your titty torn out in the meanwhile. Now, Candy, I'm sorry. Whether Kenya had had them props or not, I still think Porsha would have snatched that ass. We've seen her do it several times. And now that I think about it, now that we have a decade's worth of Porsha trying to get at somebody, I don't think that it would have taken the prop. We have several other propless alter KKs. Nene said, now look, heifer, you point anything in my face, that's crossing a line. But then Kenya talks about how she had to fight predators and had to fight for her title and fight for her lunch money. Nene is just trying to fall asleep. Violence against women on any level is wrong. Phaedra said, well, heifer, you provoked the shit out of people. But then Kenya said, well, Nene, you called me before the reunion, talking about how you don't like Phaedra. And Nene said, now you're trying to play dirty. Goodbye, Kenya. You get nothing else from me today. Don't make me call Porsha. Well, don't make me call Marlo. But then we get to talking about Minicue and her husband saying he was the big homie running through Candy and Phaedra. And they was like, not with that small penis. But then Phaedra brings up the head doctor rumors from Nene and says it was never a rumor. And Kenya says, I'm sorry, that's in Fulton County court documents. Ask Angela Stanton. But now we get to Heifer Joyce. Andy asked if Heifer Joyce has any regrets, and she said yes, that they said I set him up. I didn't set him up. How do Todd's parents feel about Mama Joyce? She called me a bitch. She ain't got nothing on me. I don't know, Mama Sharon would have whooped that ass. Heifer Joyce said, no, I raised my daughter to be a millionaire, not to marry a hundredaire. That's why I don't like Todd's ass. So Heifer Joyce says, now Cynthia said that Candy take care of me. And Candy's like, are you really going to say I haven't contributed to your well-being? I don't think there's anything wrong with Candy taking care of Mama Joyce. I mean, that's what family does. Oh, and she had credit cards in Candy's name that she didn't know about, and Candy had to snatch that checkbook. You gave me $700 a month because you was spending it on gambling and home shopping network. $700 a month for cheap-ass candy? That's good. Heifer Joyce had a lot of critiques about the play of Mother's Love, and Andy said, did she get anything right? And she said, I love her. Ooh, that is one honorary heifer. After that, we go over Nene and Cynthia's friendship and her calling Penelope Thomas Bailey a bitch, and Cynthia don't think that Nene respects her. Well, your husband's messy. But also, this is when I've said Nene is getting bitter because Hollywood isn't picking up the phone. So it's not so much she doesn't respect you, it's she's miserable within herself. See, Nene just sitting there while Cynthia having a breakdown. You don't care about the show no more. Cynthia thought y'all were real friends and you was looking at her like a coworker and like, I'm an actress now. This is beneath me. This is when Nene starts to put on those antlers over those cheap wigs. Oh my goodness, this is back when Bravo had them doing blogs every week. You don't have to go on your blog and throw shade. Well, I have to write my blog, so I say on my blog what I'm going to say on my blog. Don't read my blog. However, Nene says, do you think that it's okay for Penelope to get up in everybody's face? And Cynthia, you do need to check your sissy. All right, well, that was the shit, so I'm going to see you soon for something.